Hey guys, Stephanie with AmericanMuscle.com here with my review of Stainless Works long tube headers available for 2015 and up GT Mustangs. These Stainless Works long tube headers are going to be one of the top of the line options for the guys out there that are looking for a high quality long tube header for more of a heavily modified car, like one with forced induction or a nitrous car. The runners on these headers are 1 7/8 inch, which is slightly different than the 1 3/4 inch offering that Stainless Works has, and the smaller diameter is traditionally going to be a better option for naturally aspirated cars or those with mild bolt-ons, so just keep that in mind when you're shopping for long tubes. So this is a stainless steel header that has a natural finish, which is going to be different than a chrome or ceramic coated header. It obviously doesn't have the polished appearance that a chrome header would have, and while these do not have the ceramic coating either, they are made from 304 stainless steel tubing, so you won't have to worry about corrosion. And this is mandrel bent tubing, which is going to help with smoother air delivery. The headers are TIG welded, and the header flanges are 1 piece and 3/8 inch thick, which is going to add strength and help prevent any leaking. These specific headers also have high flow cats, which are going to be a lot less restrictive than the factory cats are. Stainless Works also has a full off-road cat-free version if you prefer that instead. If you didn't know already, when you change your header setup to a long tube setup, you also need to change your mid-pipe to a shorty mid-pipe to work with the long tubes. These headers are specifically designed to work with Stainless Works 3-inch retro chambered catback. Now this is a unique type of catback that comes with an H-pipe, and these headers in the catback require each other to be properly installed. The combination of these two items will give you a full 3-inch exhaust system. The catback has retro-styled chambered muffler, so it's going to have a unique sound of its own, and it has a ton of features, so I just suggest that if you really want these headers with a full 3-inch system, you check this catback out some more for yourself. And if you find you don't want to run this catback, Stainless Works also has both a catted and off-road version of these headers that are designed to work with a factory catback as well. So like I said, with these particular headers, you need to also pick up that 3-inch catback. Now the long tubes alone are going to change the sound of your exhaust, and when you combine that with changing the catback, you can expect a pretty big difference in sound here, especially with the chambered mufflers of the catback. Obviously, if you go uncatted all the way, it is going to be louder than if you stick with high flow cats, but either way, you can expect to see a huge difference in sound when you upgrade to long tubes. If we move on to price, as we all already know, or if you're finding out now if you've been shopping for long tubes, they are pretty much going to be a solid investment. They're pricey and difficult to install. The options from Stainless Works, since they are a higher quality item that's more at the top of the food chain, are going to be on the more expensive side. The high flow catted version here is going to be slightly more expensive than the off-road version, which is typical to see, and they're going to cost between $1,300 and $1,400, and the off-road version costs about $200 less. And then you also have to keep in mind that these need that catback that I mentioned earlier, which costs a little over $1,000 by itself, hence the investment title that I gave these earlier. But keep in mind that if you want a long tube that doesn't step down to work with the factory catback, you're going to be looking at purchasing a catback anyways. This isn't just for the Stainless Works option here, and there's still that option of long tubes that do work with the factory catback as well. And to put things in perspective, you're going to be looking at the headers costing over $1,000 anyways if you want to go with the big players like Cooks and Borla. But at the end of the day, you're looking at both power and sound gains here. In fact, you can expect gains of 20 to 25 wheel horse with the long tubes depending on your setup and tune, in addition to an awesome change in your exhaust tone. And speaking of the tune, you will need a tune after the install here. Anytime you go with a serious mod like this, you can pretty much expect to need a tune along with it. And when it comes to long tubes and an aftermarket mid-pipe, one of the main purposes of the tune is to turn off the rear O2 sensors so you won't be getting a check engine light. As for the install on this one, long tubes are always going to be a difficult install. I don't say this often, but if you don't have a helping hand or don't have much experience, it might be better to just take the car to a shop for the install. If you do tackle this yourself, it's going to be a full 3 out of 3 wrenches on the scale and a day in the garage, especially considering you will be installing the catback with these headers. I'm also really going to recommend trying to access a lift for this install. While you can do it on a jack and stands, a lift would certainly make things easier here for sure, and just keep in mind that you are going to be working under the car all day. You're going to need your toolbox for this one with an assortment of different sockets, wrenches, and extensions. You're looking at things like disconnecting your steering shaft, dropping the starter, and removing a motor mount. A lot of this install obviously requires working in some pretty tight areas, and so while everything is straightforward, getting access and maneuverability in these areas is actually tricky, which is why you need to pull the motor mount on one side so you can raise the motor slightly with the jack to give you some more room here. And this is where having a lift will make things a lot easier. Along with access to a lift, having a helping hand in this case is really going to benefit you. But after it's all said and done, a day of wrestling and some pretty pennies spent on these mods is totally worth it in my opinion. So wrapping things up here, the Stainless Works long tube headers are 1 7/8 diameter. They're designed to work with Stainless Works 3-inch retro chambered catback to create a full 3-inch exhaust system, and they're going to offer both performance and sound gains. This option is a little more on the expensive side, but Stainless Works gives a full stainless steel high quality product, and you can check them out more online for yourself right here at AmericanMuscle.com.